Alright, gentlemen and ladies, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we have a unique matchup here. So we are on D-World version 4. It's a 16-player free-for-all map. However, the match is between me here in the bottom left corner. You'll see me spawning in a moment once I unpause the video. But I'm right here with the red Cortex, and up here you'll see my opponent spawning in this corner with the blue Armada, and that is my teammate Tango. He wanted to do some 1v1s. Sorry guys, the cat keeps trying to get behind the computer tower. So he wanted to do some 1v1s to do some training matches as teammates, and I was all for it. But he wanted to do something unique, and normally you would have, you know, a square at the top here and then a square at the bottom here, like so, indicating the spawn points. And no, you're not getting on the keyboard. You muted the audio last time. No, you're not getting behind the computer tower either. You're not gonna let me cast a video, are you? Sorry guys, the cat's young and she's spoiled. So anyway, he wanted to do a 1v1. And he wanted to do something unique. Normally, you have the squares indicating your spawn points, but this time he wanted to do it without the spawn points, so that way you can spawn at any location you wanted, completely random, free of charge. You don't have to worry about, spawning in a specific spot because of those square indicators, at the top or even on the sides of the map. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch this from my player view, just so that way I can show y'all the proper way to apply, scouting information, map control, early pressure, and constant harassment. And this is mainly for my fellow mask teammates. You don't have to replicate this build at all. That's not what I'm doing this for. I'm simply doing this to show you exactly how to get your build started, how to get your build going, maintain, a consistent flow of troops, maintain map control, maintain aggression, maintain pressure, while at the same time continuing to scale in your economy. So we go into a typical opener: 2 metal extractors, 3 wind turbines, third metal extractor into a bot lab. Normally I go into a vehicle lab, but with the past few matches I've been playing, I've been going into a bot lab just so that way I can get that early map control and maintain it. Now you can do that with vehicles, but it's far cheaper and easier going with the bot lab due to the metal cost of the vehicles versus the metal cost of the bots. Cat's in the window. So once we get the bot lab down, we are going to go into 2 solars simply to balance out our energy and to keep the wind fluctuation from stopping our production. And then we're going to put our commander back onto this construction bot lab to get those construction bots produced. And once we get both of them pumped out, we're going to pull the commander off, go into radars around the map to scan, push our construction bots out to expand, and start pumping out grunts to get that map control. So here in a minute, you'll see our construction bots pushing out here to get those metal extractors down. Now, we are going with the exploiter, and the reason for that is, let me pause it for you guys. So the reason why we're going with the exploiters is because even though the guard tower is only 90 metal, 700 energy, the extractor is 50 metals, 500 energy, so altogether you're looking at 140 metals, 1200 energy versus 240 metal and 1900 energy, so you're spending an extra 700 energy and an extra 120 metal. The life total of the exploiter is 1400 versus the life of an extractor only being 200 and the life total of the laser tower being 650. So with the life total added up together, one guard tower and a metal extractor altogether is only sitting at around 800 health versus the exploiter's 1400. Therefore, it's far more tanky, far more survivability of it, and the survival of your metal extractors is important. So before we even get those extractors down, we are dropping a construction turret just so that way we can maintain a build supply on our grunts to keep pumping soldiers out, pretty quick, pretty efficiently. And then you'll see them, there you go, construction turrets down, pushing the construction bots into our metal extractors with the eradicators. Now, you do not have to do what I'm doing with the exploiters. You can just simply go into the laser tower if you want. I choose to spend the extra energy and the extra metal simply because you can easily get that production going for your metal and your energy just by expanding and claiming more solar collectors or wind turbines, whichever you prefer. Um, and since I am going out and expanding, I am sending out these grunts to try and scout out Tango, see if we can't find him. Last time I played him, he was up in this corner. Alright, give me 1 second, guys. I have to stop this cat. Get out of my cords! Here, why don't you go in your bed? You want to lay down? Lay down in there. Oh. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, so he was in this corner last time. So, of course, I've got troops going up into this corner to try and find him. It's why they're all choosing to fight target that location, but they are moving out to all these other locations first on the off chance he didn't spawn there. And then I've got this single grunt here circling all the expansions on my side of the map just to make sure he didn't spawn on my side of the map and we're not neighbors. And like I said, you don't have to go with the exploiters like I did. You can very easily just drop down your solar panels or some wind turbines, get that energy production going, and go out and start dropping these exploiters. Yeah, your metal's going to suffer a little bit until you get to about your 4th or 5th one. I've only got 2 right here, and I'm in a profitable state even with the single construction turret. But the growth is very, very slow. It's minuscule, which is okay. It's sufficient enough that we're scaling slowly and still pumping out soldiers the entire time. Now, we do find some troops around the map misguiding us, but we also do find a few units here and here. Let me just, yeah, there's a tank here and a tank here that we end up running into, and that gives us the indication that he's probably somewhere in this vicinity with his base. So we're sending these guys down there to try to find his exact location. I didn't even notice that tank slip by. makes me wonder. Turn off player view. Yeah. Yeah, so that tank is just sitting there. Question is, will we spot it? No, but as you can see, that is the reason why I go with the exploiters. So go ahead and turn player view back on. So now we've got this guy coming out here, scanning and scouting, making sure that he is where we believe he is, while at the same time taking out a few middle extractors, setting him a little further behind in an economy, because as it stands, he's doing better off than we are. He's got these two already knocked out, these three already claimed, and his base 3 right here that we don't know about just yet, but we are finding right now. So altogether, he was sitting on 7 versus our 3, 4, 5, and just now 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so in the time it took him to get those 7, we only had 3, 4, 5, 6, and was just getting our 7th. So he was already a pretty good lead on metal, so, and he just claimed these, so now that we know where he's at, we're going to apply some pressure, shut down his metal, try to slow him down. His commander's trying to pull away, get away. We're not going straight into the commander simply because he does have that D gun available. If we use, or if he were to use that, he would completely shut down this pressure and stop us altogether. So we're ignoring the commander and going straight into his resource line and taking out all those extractors, all those wind turbines, his construction labs, so that way he can't pump out any more bots or any more vehicles. Yeah, we're just completely shutting him down. Now if we take off player view and pause, what we did not know is that he had already gotten another set of wind up here, more extractors here and here, so he's still sitting on 3 metal extractors and all this wind energy. So even with us taking out this whole side, we managed to do a lot of damage and pressure to, you know, set him back and give us up a little economical lead, as well as a lot of map control. But he did have a source of income that we weren't fully aware about. So let's go back to our side. There we go. And he's leaking out troops trying to defend this, to shut us down, so that way we don't take this out, which causes us to pull back a little. We probably could have finished that off, but instead we opt out and decide to go for the bot lab instead. We will come back to this though. In fact, I do believe I've got another army back here. I've got 2 more construction bots that I did produce out of the bot lab while applying that pressure, and they're continuing to scale our eco, while the other 2 construction bots are over here getting more metal extractors with those exploiters. You know, that way we're scaling in energy back home with 2 construction bots, scaling in metal with 2 other construction bots, and dropping little radars around the map, so that way we can scout and scan any incoming aggression, any incoming scouters, or any incoming pressure. That way I don't end up losing these construction bots for free while they're pushing out to scale our metal. And we also don't have to worry about losing any of these extractors to a big army push. So we're sending this army in here to finish off that bot lab, and then we'll push in to finish off that vehicle lab. And it looks like he's got an army of tanks coming in, because he does have a general idea as to where we are, but not a full-on idea. And these grunts are trading beautifully. I think we only lost 2 grunts versus, let's see, 5 tanks. Yeah. So now he's only got about 2 or 3 tanks sitting here in this location, and we can see that thanks to our radar. But we've got this army pushing up here to help defend this, while at the same time taking out that bot lab with this army. And once we get this army in position to defend this radar, we're going to take this army here and push in, I believe, to take out this vehicle lab. Meanwhile, I'm still scaling. So here you can see our metal and our energy was high enough that we could go into T2 without hurting us too badly. And there we are, 10 minutes and 40 seconds. T2 is available. So now I'm setting hotkeys, getting rally points, and setting the production, and then we're going to get these 2 construction bots here going into the advanced solar collectors, I do believe, just to get that extra energy. Here in a moment, we are going to get our advanced construction bot out of this, but in the meantime, we're just going to be pumping out those Fiends and Sheldons. That way we've got that T2 aggression available. There you go. Took out the vehicle lab and all the vehicles that were defending it. Lost a few grunts. Got some pretty bandaged and wounded guys left over. So now we're going to push over to the right and just take out anything we can find while trying to find where his commander stretched out to. Got to keep that pressure on, guys. Got to keep that aggression. If you're not constantly scouting, constantly pushing out, constantly moving out with even the smallest of forces just to apply any pressure you can, you're just going to keep falling behind. And as you can see, I've got my commander coming over here to drop another radar here and another here. Yeah, just those 2. And I've got the army that was chilling back here pushing up here, so that way when these tanks push in, they run into that army without getting anywhere close to our radar. We just keep finding metal extractors, and here we found another bot lab. So we're going to take that out and try to shut that down as best as we can. Our troops are falling. I'm not even entirely sure what killed that guy. So while those forces are doing that, we're going to continue trying to scale our economy. So we've got, let's see, where are our construction bots? Here? Yeah. We've got our construction bots dropping down these exploders here, and then they're going to push up into this area and then gradually loop around and come back around. Yeah, see? We've even got the course plotted for them, so that way they'll get to work. And then here we've got our advanced energy, our advanced solar collectors with our construction bots going. And we're still pumping out Sheldons, and we're still pumping out Fiends the entire time. And I believe here in a moment those tanks are going to push in. While we're still taking out that bot lab, we did take it out, and he managed to come in and clean up those units, which is okay. It's not a big deal. We managed to take out the bot lab. That's what matters. We can also see we've got a vehicle here just chilling. So we're going to send a small group of forces over here and move up the map to try and find where his commander is. So we know he's somewhere on this side of the map because we've already cleaned out this side of the map. And of course, the army that was sitting here is now stretched out in a fine line right here, as you can see. And here in a few minutes, we should be getting a small force to do the same here and hold the fort down. But in the meantime, we're getting those troops out to try and find his commander and his new base location. That way we can try to shut that down, do what damage we can, apply what pressure we can. And if we can get, you know, a few more forces, preferably more of the Sheldons, we'll push in and start doing damage to his commander. We don't want to do so just yet because of that D-gun. It's very powerful, very dangerous, and does a lot of damage against fiends and grunts, seeing as how they are units that clump up into a ball, so one single shot can take out an entire group. We do find his commander, and we could have killed him, but if he D-gunned us, which it doesn't look like he's going to do, he would have wiped us out. And that is something you got to watch out for. Experienced players, they will use that D-gun, and that's the reason why I didn't go after the commander. I just opted out for going straight into his extractor, shutting his metal and come down. Our Sheldons did take out that vehicle that was just sitting up here, and he thinks, okay, our entire army is pushing in, so he's going to send in his forces, but we still got a small faction of soldiers down here holding true, standing strong, and as you can see, our metal extractors are defending with that army, just absolutely obliterating any forces and troops that he pushed in with. So great trade for us, well defended. Just goes to show that vehicles versus bots, vehicles don't always win. It looks like he opted out to go into bots and tanks as a healthy mix to try and break our bot line, but even that isn't going to do much. We only lost about 2 or 3 of our grunts and thugs. So now we're pushing out with this group of grunts and fiends. Sorry, grunts and fiends. Meanwhile, our Sheldon army is over here taking out his vehicle plant, and then I do set them to patrol between these 3 locations that you can see they're queued up to fight on, and they end up just circling these 3 spots in a constant loop. So now we're just searching the rest of the map, trying to find where his commander went. We do that a lot. We're trying to keep track of that commander's location, so that way we can keep tabs on where we need to go to finish him off when we're ready. And as it stands, we do have a sufficient army to do so, but that would leave us completely undefended and open to all attacks. Granted, our extractors do have those lasers, so they are self-defending, but at the same time, they're only doing 80 to 160 damage per second, which honestly won't do much. Granted, that does 2-shot a fiend. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. 82 to 164, yeah. So, yeah, that fiend doing how much damage? 240 damage. They would definitely be able to get that exploiter close to death, if not wipe it out. Here we can see a blue dot thanks to the radar, so now we know, okay, he's got units over here, so we're going to send some troops over there to try and take that out and see if maybe that might be his commander. Meanwhile, we got those Sheldons on patrol, as you can see. We're just trying to maintain map control. So like I said, you got to keep that early pressure, early aggression, and as you can see back home, we did get 4 of our T2 construction bots, and they're going out, pumping out fusion reactors for us. Meanwhile, our T1 construction bots over here are still pumping out advanced solars. That way we can keep the energy up while we're waiting for those to build. That way we don't fall behind in our economy, so we can continue our unit production out of the T2 and the T1 bot labs. You got to maintain that map control. And then we also notice this dot here, so we're also sending a small group of troops over here to deal with that, and it ends up just being a construction bot. We didn't find this dot over here, which means it probably got into the water and we lost it. And he can see that we're taking this out, so he's just going to push it into us, that rather than let it go the way it was going, because he's not trying to give his position away, which is pretty clever. But as you can see, we own the entire bottom section of the map. There's nowhere he can go anywhere on land in this bottom section of the map without us seeing him, let alone being able to wipe him out. So now all we have to do is establish the same level of control that we have on the bottom on the top, because then we can completely take over the map and win the match. If you're not keeping up that pressure, you're not keeping up that aggression, you're not applying harassment, you're just falling behind over and over and over with each second that passes by. So I'm trying to maintain that constant flow of aggression, constantly taking out metal extractors, constant taking out bot labs, vehicle labs, taking out armies, picking off units where I can, keeping an eye out for his commander so that way we know where he's going to be and know where to send our troops next. Any scouting information that we can get is always good information. So I decided, all right, you know what? I'm in a good position. I'm significantly ahead. And if you look at the statistics right now, go ahead and pause this real quick. Turn off player view. Look at the statistics real quick. Alright. Metal produced, you can see that I am averaging 15.2k and Tango's only pumping out 18.7. In terms of energy produced, I'm pumping out 643k versus Tango's 179k. So I have a very, very drastic lead. And I'm trying to maintain it. So the way we do this is, since we're in a really good spot and we know that we're ahead, and we know we're extremely ahead because we're already T2. We're pushing into a T2 economy to scale into T3 here in a bit. We're producing a lot of troops and just taking small clumps of them. Just, a small handful of troops and planting them all over the map at every metal extractor spot. Some of these bigger gloops, you guys. Some of these bigger groups we do split off. And send them off to other locations. That way it's not as big of a group, because what we're trying to do is we're just sending them to those locations. That way, if he does decide to push in and try to claim that metal extractor deposit for his own and start racking in some of that income, we can spot it. It's not so much to lock him out of it as much as it is scouting information, because he could easily come in with a commander, one single D gun on this army, and boom, these 3 metal deposits are his. But now that he's done that, we're aware of his position, his location, and exactly where he's going to be building. In which case, we can just take a army, push into that location, shut it down, and try to assassinate the commander. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're just forming small groups here. We do have the rally points set to this location right here. And every time we get a bundle of troops there, we send them out to one of these metal extractor locations, while at the same time continuing to scale. We did reach a point where we had enough energy after the first fusion reactor finished, in which case we stopped building the advanced solar panels and had our workers build another construction turret. And now we're eating the solar collectors that we have back here just to get that extra metal to help speed up the production of these fusion reactors. And then once those fusion reactors are done, we are getting the tier 2 advanced energy converters to try and get some of that metal pumped out of it. And as you can see, we do manage to find a few locations where he's got units defending and some metal extractors providing him metal, and we're trying to lock that down. So now we've got an army at this one, an army at this one, and we're getting an army sent to this one. We're literally spread out all over the map. If there's a metal extractor there, we've got an army defending it. See? We're even pushing him off of here. And I believe this yeah, that army's going to help. Here in a moment we'll have an army come and clean that out. So we're just completely pushing the opponent off the map. And that's what you want. That's what you want to do. Now, you might say, but Sligh, this is kind of being a bully. And yeah, in a way, it is being a bully. You are bullying the opponent off the map. But at the same time, if you don't play like this, if you don't do these tactics, I guess, where you're just consistently scaling, growing, pumping out units, and applying pressure, aggression, and being a bully, then you're just giving your opponent the opportunity to turtle and scale. And in a game like this, if you ignore your opponent for too long, it's very easy to scale into tier 3, in which case they end up with the tech lead and they take you down. Granted, you could also do a tech scale build right off the bat under the assumption that your opponent's doing the same, but there's always the problem of your opponent not scaling early on into that late tech and going for a early to mid push, in which case you're just obliterated because you decided to jump into T3 scaling. So as you can see, our metal is definitely turning into a healthy balance with these metal extractors being produced. And we're still pumping out soldiers, still sending them out. And at this point, I own all the metal extractor spots all over the map, essentially. There's still a few that we don't own, like this one back here, this one right here, this one right here, this one right here. There's still a few spots that we don't own, but it's okay. So what I ended up deciding to do is taking my commander and start building radars all over the place. You can see he's hotkeyed, or not hotkeyed, but rallied to all these locations to build that radar, so that way I can get that mapping information and see if he's anywhere on the map, and it's not looking like it. So here in a moment, you're going to see me put down a air lab, and the reason for this is I decided to opt out for air scouts versus the radars, because the radars only provide you so much information. They don't give you an exact scene of what's in that location. They just give you an indication that something's there, and I'm pretty sure that they don't show buildings, they only show units, but I could be wrong about that. Either way, the information that a radar provides versus the information that a unit provides, units are always going to be more efficient at scouting information. So let's go ahead and speed this up a little. We'll put a 4x multiplier. And as you can see, I'm still sending out troops all over the map. I even sent some over here to this geode. And I'm still dropping radars when and where I can. And I got that air lab built. And now I'm building a crap load of construction turrets, which ends up putting a major drain on my eco. And that's okay, because with the lead that we have, we can afford to have a minuscule eco due to it being sapped away by all those construction turrets. And we're pumping out little finches. That's what they're called. And we're doing this so that way we can spread all of these scout planes out and scan the entire map to try and find him, because as you can see, we cannot find him, right? So we'll go ahead and pause this for a sec. We cannot find him. We've got all these radars, and you can tell how many radars we have because of all these green lines around the map. We have a crap ton of radars. And what we don't have covered by a radar, we've got vision of ourselves with our troops, and he is nowhere on this map. Nowhere on land. So I'm sitting here going, okay, if he's not on land, and he's not building anywhere on land, that means he's probably got his commander tucked away. So now we spread our scouts out across the entire bottom and then have them patrol up and down. And that's when we spot him. That's when we find him. Now we know exactly where he is. So here in a second we're going to put these scouts on patrol to just patrol back and forth. There you go. So that way they continuously provide us map information across the entire map. And this is the glory of constant aggression, constant patrol, and constant map exploration. If you don't maintain that map control, you're going to suffer. So I figured I would try to send these ground forces right here into the water to go get them. I figured they would just walk underwater to that location the same way the commander does, but that's not the case. So instead we just leave them there on the beach while we continue to scout, and then we're sending out bombers to start bombing him. So put this back to normal speed. Now granted, these are only T1 bombers and they're not doing much, but it is some kind of pressure. So I eventually opt out and decide to build some of the T1 construction aircraft. And once we get a handful of those, we do fly them over to this location and build a T2 air construction lab, so that way we can start pumping air units, and it's a lot closer to his base, which means less travel time. That way we can get some T2 bombers in the mix, and he's pumping out air defenses to take out all those bombers and try to prevent us from cleaning him out. And that's perfectly fine because, as you can see, we've got nuke silos queued up. So once all of these advanced energy converters are finished and our aphises are done, we're going to push into nukes to just wipe them out. And while we wait for that to finish, we're just going to continue bombing and keeping that pressure and aggression constantly going. Now here in a second, you're going to see this T1 lab do something obnoxious. As you can see, I'm getting the construction bots going now. So let's go ahead and speed this up. There we go. So there are our construction bots going off to build the Tier 2 lab. So what we end up doing is we end up taking this and setting the rally point over to where he's at. And instead of building T1 bombers, we go back into the scouts. And the reason for this is because we can pump those out significantly faster than we can the bombers. That way we have a constant flow of scouts just coming in, taking all the fire from the turrets. That way our Tier 2 lab that gets built up here can send bombers in to do damage, and the air defenses he has will shoot down the scouts instead of the bombers. That way we can do as much damage as we possibly can while we wait on our nukes. But as you can see, I've got full on map control. I've got this beach defended, so he's not getting back on land over there. We got this beach defended. He's definitely not getting on land over there. And then we've got this group of units here, as well as a crap ton of grave robbers. I built those because I intended on using them to go across the map and clean out all the forest and whatnot that's on the map, and any other reclaim we could possibly get. In fact, is there any reclaim on the map? Yeah, there's this metal here from when he pushed in, and then little metal deposits from where his bases used to be. Yeah, aside from that, there's not much reclaim. And I'm continuing to pump out ground forces as well, so we've got this big army just chilling there. So that way, if he did come up this beach here and try to take that out, or decide to come in our backline here and just take out our main base, we could easily send troops in to counter that, defend it, and protect our aphises and whatnot. So the only thing he would be wiping out would be our production line, and that's perfectly fine because that's not really going to slow us down. Our commander's chilling out in the center of the map, so he's not going to find him and take him out. So now that we've got this built, we're going to start pumping out the heavy strategic bomber is what we end up opting out for, the Hailstorm. So we're going to have these T1 construction bots start pumping out construction turrets all over the damn place on this mountain, while pumping out Hailstorms, sending them in, and then eventually we do rally these guys to the lab to help produce those units faster. So we're just maintaining map control while at the same time pumping out scouts. Now, as you can see, this little line of planes trickling in, we now have our T1 scouts flooding the area, about to get blasted and shut down by these air defense turrets. And we're doing that just to maintain the attention of those turrets, so that way when we get the bombers out of here, which will be coming up soon, we're able to knock it out. And this is exactly what you want to do every single match. You want to get some troops, push out, get some scouting information, locate your opponent, apply some pressure, take out what you can, and pull out if you have to. If you've got a steady, stable economy and you're doing significant damage to his, there's nothing wrong with just throwing your units away on the aggression that you're doing, because they're going to easily be replaced. Just keep in mind, you do want a group of forces left behind like that, simply because if you do apply any pressure and end up losing that army, he can always counterattack, and you need something to hold off that counterattack. So we're going to go ahead and speed this up some more. And now we're getting those bombers out. And they're getting shot down. So I'm like, okay, what can we do? And that's when I get the bright idea to change the rally point of the bombers to above the turrets. Yep, there we go, bombing. Trying to shut down all of that. So we're just keeping up the pressure, keeping up the aggression, keeping him locked down, while at the same time getting our nukes produced. Took out his energy converters, so his metal income is reduced. Took out his lab. Took out all those air defenses and turrets. So now we're trying to take these ones out. And we're doing this while we wait for our nukes to finish. Now, if we slow this down and turn off player view for a sec. Let's see. You can see Tango's commander is here getting all these tidal generators, keeping his energy going. And then going for the lab to try and get some construction bots going. Which we shut down by nuking, or not nuking, but bombing his construction bot. Leaving him just one worker, his commander. It looks like he built some submarines to defend in case I went Navy, but I wasn't doing that because I was waiting for the nukes. And there you go. There you go. Nuke went off and destroyed everything. And at that point, he was like, alright, GG's. There was no point in staying on the map and continuing because he wasn't safe in the water. I would find him with all of these scouts. He couldn't get back to land because it was pretty much locked down by all these troops. I very easily could have taken these ground forces right here and split them up across, let's see, here, 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 and here, along with there. Yeah. I could have very easily pushed those forces into all those points, maybe even split up some of these and these to help cover those locations to just keep him from getting back on shore safely. That way he stays in the water and I continue to scout him out with all these scout planes. I've got all these extra scouts here in this corner on the off chance he wipes out all of these scout planes. But as you can see, the blue lines, they're just set to constantly patrol the map. It was a really great match. I had a lot of fun with it. It was phenomenal. I enjoyed playing Tango. He was an excellent opponent. The only thing is you got to maintain map control. Map control is key. Map control is everything in a game like this. And if you're not maintaining map control, you're just giving your opponent an advantage. And there's a lot of ways to take advantage. You can take advantage in economy. You can take advantage in production with your building line, with construction turrets or construction bots helping buildings and units be produced. I mean, hell, as you can see, we had gotten up to our 5th nuclear silo. So you can easily take the advantage with economy. You can take the advantage with production. You can take the advantage of map control. You can take advantage in multiple different ways. But the most productive and most efficient, I guess, advantage you could take control of is map control. Scouting information, harassment, aggression, pressure. It might be called bully tactics doing a play like this, but if you don't, you're just giving your opponent the opportunity to go out, expand, claim more resources, claim more materials, and claiming all of these deposits here, 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 like so, with all these forces, us claiming all of those. The point of us doing that is so that way we've got that scouting information, we've got that map control. That way, if he does go in there, dig on those units out of there and start building, we know where he's at and we can send troops in to start applying damage, applying pressure, keep that aggression up, and keep him locked down. If you keep your opponent locked down to where they can't fight back, they'll either quit the match with the GG, in which case you're victorious, or they will do what Tango did and go off map and set themselves so far behind that they're just giving you a massive, massive lead and a massive advantage. Because had I gone into all of those extraction spots and placed down metal extractors, hell, had I even bothered to upgrade my metal extractors from T1 into T2 metal extractors, because look, I did all of this with strictly T1 metal extractors. I didn't bother upgrading my metal extractors with our T2 bots at all. We just went straight into T2 economy with energy converters, aphises, and fusion reactors. But had I, the amount of metal income I would have had from all of these deposits being T1, let alone upgraded to T2, along with all the ones I already owned being upgraded to T2, the metal income I would have had alone would have been sufficient enough to just surrender. He wouldn't have been able to keep up. And as you can see, I'm already pumping out 290 metal per second. In fact, by the end of the game, let's see, statistics. Metal produced. I was pumping out 364k metal every second. And that's just with this bottom half of the map owned with metal extractors. Because you can see them right here. Right there and right there. So literally, the only metal extractors I had working was right there. That is my metal income right there. And that was pumping out 364k every second. As for energy produced, I was pumping out 15.2 15.2 million energy with all these aphises and fusion reactors. So he gave me a massive, massive lead. He wasn't even breaking 1 mil. So I had a full-on 14 mil lead on energy and a full-on 300k lead on metal. So had I wanted to, I could have made that lead so far ahead that there was no catching up. Granted, it's already kind of at that point as is without me having all of that. But that just goes to show the benefits of getting that map control, keeping that pressure, keeping that aggression. And as you can see from that, you are owning the opponent. And that's exactly what you want to do with these games. You want to keep the unit production consistent so you maintain a front line. You want to keep the front line maintained so that way you can split units off and send them into the back lines to apply some kind of damage, some kind of harassment, do a little bit of pressure, a little bit of damage where you can, as well as get that scouting information. And in 1v1s, scouting information is everything. The more you know, the better off you are. You need to know where your opponent's at. You need to know what units they're pumping out. You need to know what facilities they have. You need to know how many construction turrets they've got. You need to know what their income looks like. You need to know all of this information so that way you can get an advantage on that and keep the lead. And that's exactly what I did this match, start to finish. I kept the map under my surveillance. I kept the map under my control the entire way and pushed our units out throughout everything, completely locking him out of the map altogether so that way he couldn't do anything. But with that, I hope I was able to educate y'all with something and help provide y'all with a balanced build order, so that way y'all can replicate it if y'all want. I wouldn't exactly mirror the build order on that because it's not the most efficient, but it is definitely sufficient enough for like Bronze League, Silver League matches. It might even get you into the Gold Leagues, under the impression that beyond all reason were to separate between bronze, silver, gold. But that's just to give you an idea as to the difference in what kind of gameplay we're looking at. So this is Sligh Guy signing out. I appreciate each and every one of you coming in, hanging out with me today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like this video. Ring that bell so you get notified of any other videos being produced in the future. And I will catch y'all in the next video. Bye, guys.